Hey everyone, it's Jessica, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about how and why I decluttered my makeup. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably recently saw, well I guess now it was a couple weeks ago, that I sold a ton of makeup. And I've been doing that kind of recently where I'll sell things that I purchased with my own money, not things that were sent to me from companies, but things that I purchased with my own money that I maybe swatched once for a video, maybe twice, and that I wasn't using anymore, and that I felt like passing on, but I felt like someone else could love it just as well. So those things were sold, but probably 4 times that amount was given away and donated. So I have really gotten rid of a lot, and I've been inspired by a lot of people here on YouTube, but I've also been inspired by the book I've been reading, which is The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, and it's by Marie Kondo, and she's got this method called the KonMari method, kind of an inversion of her name. And it really has changed my outlook on a lot, and I will link my video of me decluttering all of my clothes, and it really is an emotional experience. And if you've never gone through it, you're probably like, why is it that emotional? It's dumb, it's clothes, it's just things. And I know that, it's just things. But I do believe that these things can really cloud not only our mind, but our lives in way more ways than I think we even realize. And I just feel like that was happening to me, that, you know, I just recently got married, so that stress was over, but I'm now teaching a different grade than I was last year, and just all these different things, and moving in with my husband, all those things on top of just having so much stuff. I was like, gosh, the stuff is what I'm in control of. I'm in control of that, and I've let myself have so much. And while I know that's a blessing, I also know that it's in weird ways a curse, because it really does weigh down on you. So I'm not going to show you me going through my makeup, but I am going to show you guys pictures of my process of, you know, where I started, where I ended up, what I kept, what I got rid of. But I wanted to talk you through why, and kind of my bad habits that maybe will help you if you're going through your makeup. So let's go ahead and get into it. So I started with my lip products, and as you can see here, I have so many. I didn't even count them. I was too scared, I couldn't count them. So many, and I had to make sure that I got them out of my car, my purse, my nightstand, my bathroom drawer, out of here, obviously. I had them everywhere. So I made sure every single lip balm, lip gloss, lipstick, lip liner were all in one pile. Now, I could have further separated it into lipsticks and lip glosses, but I was just in a mood where I was like, let's go. So I just started from the middle, picked one up, and basically what I asked myself, which you'll hear in the other video as well with my clothes, was, first of all, would I buy this again? Like, if all of my stuff suddenly went missing, would I want to buy these again? And that was kind of my first thing I thought when I was looking at a lipstick. And it was so amazingly easy for me to pick out and just kind of shop again. And I know people say shop my stash, but I really was. I was going through and saying I would absolutely buy this again. If I lost it or if I ran out, I would buy it again. So I picked those things out. And I had, as you can see, way less than I expected. It's still way more than I need, but I have to take into account that, you know, this is one of my jobs, and I love makeup and I love YouTube, and my job is to review makeup. So I need to still have a good base, but there were products that I had never, ever, ever touched. Brand new. Absolutely brand new in there. Tons of them, probably half. And that made me sick, because I'm like, see, I don't even know, like, I can't appreciate, I'm about to film a subscription box unboxing video as well. I can't even enjoy the new stuff in there because I have so much else cluttering my mind and my makeup drawer. So I just don't even see and know what I have. So that was kind of my main question. The one thing I had to keep myself in check with was not worrying about how much I might have spent on it or how much a product was worth. So like some things, you know, I would look at a MAC lipstick and I'm like, oh man, like this was how much are MAC lipsticks? Like $14 or $15, however much it is. And I'm like, oh man, and it's MAC. I just want to grow my MAC collection. But I had to ask myself, I'm like, but why keep it if it's just sitting there? And there are some MAC lipsticks. I had like a Viva Glam Nikki one that was this bright coral that I think I swatched once or twice. I've never really worn because it doesn't make sense with my skin tone and with what I like. So there were certain things in there that I'm like, why do I have this? I just bought it because it was, you know, someone had mentioned it once and then I never used it, but I kept it because I wanted it to be in my collection. But there's nothing better than opening your drawer. Like I have one drawer with all of my lip products in it, all my glosses, and I probably got rid of like 50 lip glosses and kept like maybe 15. there's nothing better than opening that drawer and looking at it and thinking, oh, I love all of this stuff. Like, I could close my eyes and grab anything and I know I will love it, because these are like my ride or die, holy grail, all the different, you know, euphemisms we use for those products that we just love so much. All of them are those. I don't have a couple like ones that I'm like, oh, I wasn't sure. If I was unsure about it, I thought there's a reason that I'm not sure if I want to keep it or give it away. So I would just give it away. Because why, if I'm even a little unsure, then it's not something I truly, truly, truly love or need. So looking at the picture, there were a lot of lip glosses that I held on to, and I kept telling myself, oh, they're not that old. But I really thought about it, and I'm like, I probably bought that before I got my channel. And when I started my channel, that was over 2 years ago. So this has to be that old. So there were a lot I could get rid of for that. But beyond that, just ones that I'm like, I don't like bright lip glosses, because really, if I'm wanting a bright lip, I would rather wear a lipstick that I know is gonna stay put. Whereas a bright lip gloss, I know now that I need to stop buying them because they run outside of my lip line, and I don't like that, especially if it's a bright purple or a bright whatever. So I'm kind of learning more about my patterns as a makeup buyer, and I'm learning that there are certain things I really should avoid, because I might like them because I'm like, oh, well, I've watched these people on YouTube and I love them and they like this, but that doesn't mean that it's gonna look great on me, and if I know I don't like that, then why spend the money? The next thing I went through are my eye products, and you can see here I have got a lot. Now with this, I did my cream shadows, my palettes, my singles, my eyeliners, my mascaras, my primers, my eye primers that is, a lot of stuff. And this one was a lot easier than I thought, because as I looked at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many palettes, but I love so many of them. And as I started going through, I'm looking at my pictures on my phone right now. As I started going through it, I realized, wow, I have way more than what I need, and I've got like 5 of the same shade. I don't need that. I'm never gonna go through one of them, let alone 5. So I really did look at it and say, okay, I'm just gonna pick one, because I think I emotionally attach myself to these in the weirdest way, where I'm like, oh, but what if I run out? I'm like, well, if I run out, I can go to Walmart and buy a Wet n Wild single in that color for $1.99. Or, you know, it's not like it's the end of the world. If I actually run out of a product and I actually need to buy it at the store, that would be amazing. I haven't had to do that with makeup, which is awesome, in a long time. So I need to get that out of my mind. But looking at it, there were a lot of products that I thought, oh, well, a company sent this to me, and you know, I tried it, or maybe I showed it in a video so you guys could see what it looked like, but I was keeping it for that reason. But I'm like, I don't really like it, or I'm not really using it, or it's just not my style. Then there's no reason for me to hold on to it, because it's not benefiting anyone for me having it just sitting in a drawer. I realized I had a lot of loose glitters that I never ever use, so I got rid of most of those, and I've realized, again, that's another thing I need to not buy, because I just don't use them. I don't like them. I might look at them in a swatch and think, wow, that's beautiful, but I know that in the day-to-day, it's not something I ever reach for. Another tip I'm learning about myself is that if I were to go and look at a palette or a quad and think about buying it, what I want to start asking myself is, if I just had this quad to get ready with, could I use it? Because I've noticed a pattern that when I'm getting ready in the morning, I only use palettes that I can get a complete look out of. I very rarely will pick one up and use it and then get another to fill in the gaps, like if I need a matte light brown and it's not in the palette, then I very rarely will go to another. I just won't use that palette, I'll just use a different palette altogether. So I need to be better about, since I know that about myself, I need to make sure I'm buying palettes that have what I would need for a complete look. And that's just me. A lot of people like having all of it out, but I just don't. So as you can see, I got rid of a lot. On the left is what I am keeping, and on the right is what I'm getting rid of, which is the case for all of these pictures. And like I said, I was surprised at how much I was able to get rid of. And there were a lot of high-end mascaras I was holding on to, because I'm like, oh, but they're high-end and they're kind of okay. They're just flaking a little bit. I'm like, Jessica, just get rid of them. But even so, I was even able to get rid of like a MAC paint pot and a bunch of palettes from like the Balm and e.l.f. and just ones that I knew I was never ever gonna use. The next thing I went through were my face products. So that would be concealers and foundations, powders, things like that. Not my blush, bronzers, and stuff yet. And as you can see, I had a lot. One thing I realized I'd accumulated a lot of were face powders and primers. And I don't even use primers every day. And I realized, I'm like, why do I have so many primers? So I was able to get rid of a lot that I had tried, and I felt like maybe this one's breaking me out, or maybe I tried them once and I realized I don't like the way it makes my skin look with foundation on top of it. So I was able to get rid of a pretty good chunk, but I did keep some because they're drugstore primers that I'm planning to do a video on. So for that, I actually had a purpose for, but I have a feeling once I've compared them all, I'll probably get rid of most of them and just keep the maybe 2 that I really, really like. So that was one that I wasn't able to pare down as much as I'd like because of what I have planned for it. But beyond that, the face powders, I had a pretty good amount of. I got rid of a lot and just kept 3 because I'm like, first of all, I only need 1 face powder, but I also don't use them every day, so they were just really going bad quickly just because I wasn't using them. So I was really excited to get rid of all but 3 of them, and they're 3 that I could, again, with my eyes closed, reach in and grab any of them, and they work wonderfully. So I was really excited about paring that down that much. Concealers, I got rid of any that I felt were old. I had a lot of concealers in there that I'd had for a while, and I'm sure they went bad months ago. And I just hadn't thought about it because time just passes and my collection's just my collection. So I don't really think too often about how long I've had certain things, but this really made me take a minute and think about that. So in the end, I probably cut that collection down a little less than half for what I kept there on the left. And there were some things that I know I would buy again, like I love my Revlon Color Stay Whipped. I would buy that again. I have. I love my Rimmel foundation, but there are some things that I kept because I like them. But once I use them up, I think they'll just be out of my collection and I probably wouldn't buy again. Now the hardest one was my blushes, bronzers, highlighters. I just love them and I think a lot of us do. Now my blush collection is large and I love blush and I still kept a pretty good amount, but I realized there were just some colors I had that were so dark or so bright cinnamon red or so bright orange that I've never used them for a reason. When I'm getting ready in the morning, whether I've got a long time to get ready or a short time, I'm still never reaching for them. And I keep them because I'm like, oh, but I don't have one like this, so I better keep it. But I'm like, I don't have one like this because I never want ones like this. So I don't know why I bought it in the first place. So I got rid of a lot of really bright colors or really dark colors that, you know, I would have to work so hard to make work with my skin anyway that I figure I've got way too many that are amazing that I don't even want to waste my time on the ones that aren't really working for me. As you can see, I kept still a pretty good amount. On the left is what I'm keeping, and I had already put it in little organizers to put in my drawer. And on the right is what I got rid of. I realized one bad habit I have is I've accumulated a lot of blush palettes, and I just don't use them. Because in the morning, I like going through my separate little blushes and picking out which one I'm going to use that day. Whereas I don't know, there's something, I just don't really use blush palettes. So for whatever reason, I had accumulated a lot, so I got rid of a pretty good amount of those, which was a good feeling because, again, they're just sitting there. My main thing that I took away from this were just my bad habits in makeup buying. And I love makeup, and that's never gonna change, and I'm never, you know, I don't think I'll ever be down to the way I used to be where I would just have one makeup bag and it was all my stuff, but I almost envy people like that because I have so much that it can be so overwhelming, but I also love it, so it's like playtime. So for me, I'm kind of bridging the gap between that, where I don't want to have so much like I had that I don't know what to do, but I also don't want to have so little for a job like I have. I need to have a point of reference and I need to be able to compare things. So I'm kind of learning myself and this process as I go, but I do think this is something that now that I've done such a large overhaul once, and actually really this is twice, as long as I just keep up with it, I think I'm going to be okay. You know, I think this is easily, now that I've kind of seen the error of my ways, if you will, I think it'll be easier for me to keep up with this. And I love, like I said, opening my drawers and seeing all my favorites staring back at me, waiting to be picked. And I could pick any of them and it would just be glorious. So I am so excited to kind of start this new journey where I'm going to be a lot pickier about what I keep. And being honest with myself about why I'm buying something. You know, am I buying it just because someone said they like it, but I know that it's a bright red blush and I'll never like it, or am I buying it because I genuinely want it or need it or whatever, or I want to review it? So those are kind of my truths. I would love to hear what your truths and your habits are and patterns when it comes to makeup buying and things that you're going to be working on over the next year as we head into fall and as we head into Christmas. It's a season of accumulation where we all kind of, you know, we get gifts and there are great sales, so we might buy some things. What are you going to work on? I'm so curious because it just might help me and it might help some others that are also reading the comments. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I've got tons of my makeup declutter I did, I would say earlier this year, where I went through everything and you actually see me declutter. I can link that entire playlist below. There's like 15 videos of every single thing I've got. But I also did that clothing declutter with the KonMari method where you get to see me actually declutter all of my stuff and doing it kind of in action. You can see it. So if you're interested, definitely check it out. Subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will catch you guys in my next one. Bye.